Support for Ukrainian refugees is to be brought in line with those offered to Irish students. Currently, Ukrainian refugees have been entitled to temporary tuition fees support scheme and a financial stipend for full-time higher education. And the AN2 leader, Peadar Tóibín, joins us now. Peadar, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And thanks for your time this morning. I think most people were aware that there were supports for Ukrainian refugees, but the extent of them certainly surprised me. Can you just outline what was there?
Yeah, so the government provided what was called a temporary tuition fee support scheme. And what it said was that there would be free college fees. So in other words, the college fees, the registration fees, etc., would be free. And also that there would be a grant system, but that grant system wouldn't have a means test in the same way that it does for Irish students. So, obviously, people, when the initial Ukrainian war broke out, and many people obviously felt that, rightly so, the need to help refugees who are fleeing from war and violence. And, a shelter over a person's head is the first thing a person should do. But the government started to put in different payments and supports for people from Ukraine, which were far and above the support that Irish citizens were receiving. Another example of this was the accommodation recognition payment, which was a payment of €800 a month, tax-free, to an individual who took it provided accommodation for someone from the Ukraine. And what happens, obviously, is when you create two tiers in terms of payments, and when you have two levels, one level for Irish people and a higher level for people coming from abroad, well, obviously that's unfair, and that creates anger and frustration amongst people who are, in this country all their lives, paying taxes all their lives, and they find that they're on the second tier. So we in AN2 were very clear at the start that nobody should receive anything in this country ahead of Irish citizens. That's, wrong. And we also believe as well that, these extra payments that were provided, and initially as well the social welfare payments were very attractive, that has a pull effect in that, when people are logical and people will make decisions on the basis of the conditions in the countries that they're going to, and people were making decisions to come to Ireland as a result of the fact that our payments were very attractive.
And some of those payments, I believe, were up to a value of over 6,000 for some of the postgrad programs as well.
Yeah, so the payments were free up to a value of €6,270 for postgrad programs and fully for undergrad courses. So, some Irish students didn't have, obviously, this income support, and I would know many families who don't get the SUSI grant, who would be on, middling enough income, and who would have significant outgoings and payments themselves to deal with. And what you find is that you have two students essentially in a classroom. One student is on a higher tier of support. And the idea that it wasn't means tested and that the accommodation recognition payment isn't means tested is also bananas, because, supports are generally there for people who have low income. And, some of these supports were going to people who are earning very high income. And that doesn't make sense.
Now, the Higher Education Minister, James Lawless, he's saying that, he's going to ensure that there's a level playing field for all at this point. But I understand that people who are already in the system of education, they will continue to be funded. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, my understanding is that those people who have participated in the scheme so far will remain on the scheme, and that's my understanding currently. Yeah. So that is a difficulty because I think what happens is the government have accepted that there's a problem, and yet they're allowing the problem to remain, which I think is a mistake.
And when are we talking about implementation then, as far as the Higher Education Minister is concerned? When are we going to implement this level playing field?
Well, the I know that the dates for changes of the APR for the accommodation recognition payment is to come in June. I suspect that the change that the minister is talking about will happen at the start of the new academic year, even though I haven't seen confirmation of that as of yet.